Hi and welcome back. This is tip 2 of my 5 tips, and I hope you enjoyed the last one. Thanks for coming back and seeing the second one. So if you read the title, you know this tip is called Learning How to Learn, and I'm going to start out with a metaphor, Chinese metaphor. And then I'm going to tell you my story, how I figured out that I needed to learn how to learn better. And then I'm going to give you 3 things that you can put into effect right away. 3 ideas. The first thing is metaphor. Have you ever seen jade? Jade, the stone? It just looks like a rock, right? It's not really anything beautiful, but the metaphor is the jade cannot be made into anything until it is cut and polished. And so how we bring that into our life in TCM school is that this school requires some training and some discipline. Just like jade, in order to be beautiful, it needs to be cut and polished. So in order for you to be successful, you need to put in a little bit of discipline and time. So learning how to learn. So I started my first year of TCM school, and in the school that I was in at the time, you had to take a first year test, a second year test, and then you had to take a third year test before they would even let you sit for that board. So I had been in school for 1 year. I'd gotten good grades. I'd studied really hard, put in a lot of time, had beautiful notes, okay, and had good grades. So, I thought, okay, yeah, this first year test should be a breeze, right? I've done all the right things. It should be easy. Well, it turns out, and I did study for the first year test, also separately of all the other things that there was to do. I failed, and I could not believe that I had failed the first year test. After looking back, and I said, I have all A's. I've come to every class. I study. I have great notes. Why did I fail? And I really started to think about this a little bit more introspectively, because I knew one thing was for sure. I could not study harder, okay? I had already studied what I felt like was as hard as I could do. So I needed to learn how to learn. So I had 2 friends at the time. They were going to a PhD program for education. And I asked them, I said, look, help me. What am I doing wrong here? Give me some tips of how I can do this a little better, right? Because I'm studying hard as I can, and I need to study smarter, right? We've all heard that before, study smarter, not harder. So learning how to learn. So, one of the tips that they gave me was to really capitalize on something called focus and diffuse learning. And there's some really famous people that used to do this. They wrote about it. One was Salvador Dali. He was a famous painter. And the other one was actually Thomas Edison, right? So then you have this abstract artist and also an engineer using this method. And so what the method essentially is you focus, and you use those elements in your brain to draw a pattern of things that you know, okay? But you're studying a lot of things that maybe you don't know, they're difficult to understand. So after you focus and you create those links and that focused study, then you go into diffuse mode. You rest, right? You rest. You've looked at the information that you've tried to put into your brain and create links, but now you sort of rest. You sit back and you let the brain do that background work so that when you go back to it next time, you'll have one more link and then one more link. And so it's important to create a study that's focused and diffuse. The other thing I used to fall back on a lot was, oh my gosh, I'm older now and I can't keep up, and maybe this isn't for me, right? But there's research out there that they did a research study across all the U.S., different U.S. schools and Australia, and they asked students, they said, what's the number one predictor of success in school? And everybody thought, oh, it's IQ. You have a high IQ, that's a good predictor that you're going to be successful. But the truth is, it is not the high IQ. Or age. Age, younger doesn't mean more successful, higher IQ doesn't mean more successful. But this goes back to the training and discipline that we talked about in the metaphor, okay? So you need to put time in using focus and diffuse mode. But the second thing, there are 2 more things that people who were very high performers also added into their study plan. One, they had a study plan, okay? They sat down and mapped out exactly how they were going to study and what time they were going to study what. But before they wrote down, and these were the high performers, before they wrote down all the times they were going to study in their plan, they actually wrote down the times that they were going to relax. And they wrote in things that they enjoyed doing first. Now, everyone else in this research study who wrote down a study plan, they didn't do that. They didn't write down those, they didn't put it into their plan when they're going to relax. And in about 3 weeks, they just threw away their plan, right? They hated it. It was so much work. It was terrible. They didn't want to use their study plan anymore. I'm using a little note here, so that's why I'm looking down. Anyway, so make a study plan. Remember you're learning new material, so use focus and diffuse modes when you're studying. And then you are going to be, the only way you get a license in traditional Chinese medicine school is you got to take a test. You have to. There's no way around it. Doesn't matter what, well, I guess there are a few states that maybe you don't need to, but you still have to get through school, so you still need to take a test. And if you want a license, you got to take 4 tests. So one of my teachers said to me, and I said, I want to be that. She said, I am a test machine. I love taking tests. That's what I do. And that's what you need to do too. And I thought, you know what? I need to be a test machine. And I used to say to myself, oh, I don't take tests good. I'm not good at taking tests. But what I had to do, and what you need to do, if that's the situation you're in, is rewrite your story. Rewrite that story. You are a good test taker, and you love taking tests, and you're going to take as many tests as you can. Practice, 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 practice. Test yourself every way that you can. So my foundations teacher used to say all the time, he would sit there and look at the students, and 4 hours of foundation lecture, if you haven't done it yet, then you know that these classes are long and they can be boring, and sometimes you don't really know what he's trying to tell you. And so he would look up from lecture and he would say, all of you who are highlighting your books are wasting your time. It's a waste to highlight. And he would send us articles. Of course, we'd never read them because we had too many other things to read. But essentially, research shows that the only way you can better retain material isn't through highlighting, it isn't through rereading, but it's through looking at the material, looking away, and recalling. Looking at the material, looking away, recalling. So research said high performers who did this, instead of rewriting notes, making fabulous notes, highlighting, if they just looked at the material, looked away, and recalled, they had much higher scores and better predictor of success. So remember, learning how to learn. And then my last tip, oh, that's it. Test, test, test. Rewrite your story if you have anxiety. Oh, procrastination, sorry. What we talked about last week, right? So if you procrastinate and you say, hey, that's just the way I am. I function better when I wait. Let's talk about procrastination just a little bit more. Because in the long run, this isn't about I can jam everything in at the last minute I've procrastinated. This is about how am I going to memorize 3 years worth of material and be successful on a test when they could pretty much pick anything they want to test you on. And that's by not procrastinating. So actually there's a little bit of research on procrastination, and everybody does it. I do it. Everyone does it. And what the research shows is that if you're having to do something that you really don't want to do, I really don't want to study herbs, I don't want to do it, and actually you have physical pain in your brain when you sit down to do it. And then when you stop, you're like, oh, I'll just do it later. That pain goes away and you feel great, right? Like, oh, yay, I feel so much better. I don't have to do that. And 1 time is okay, 2 times it's okay. But what happens is you create a pattern. And that pattern is going to spill over into everything in your life because you're not getting over that physical pain. So there's a technique if you are a procrastinator. It's called the Pomodoro technique. And if you find yourself procrastinating, try this out. And the way it works, you can look it up, Pomodoro technique. It's on Wiki, is where I found it. What you do is you set a timer. okay, for 25 minutes, and you tell yourself, I'm going to focus on study for 25 minutes, not I'm going to get my homework done, or I'm going to get this one thing done. I'm going to focus on study for 25 minutes. And that's what you do. If you get distracted, then you make a quick note of what the distraction was, but go back to studying. At the end of 25 minutes, you get to have a break. Do something you like. Read a book that you like, or watch a TV, or whatever you want to do for 10 minutes, and then go back for 25 more minutes, and then be done, okay? So 25 minutes, break, something you like to do, whatever it is. If you like to look at Facebook, if you like to read a book, if you like to go for a walk outside, go do that for 10 minutes, and then come back and focus study for 25 more minutes, okay? So just to recap what we talked about, number one, become a test machine, okay? You like tests. Rewrite your story. If you don't take tests well, you do. You take them well, and you're going to keep doing it until you feel really super confident, okay? This program is about passing a test. After that, you can do what you want. Everyone says it. Become a test machine. Number two, if you procrastinate, try the Pomodoro technique, okay? It's super helpful. Helps you break that cycle of like, oh, I don't want to do it, I don't know, pain in my brain, and then you feel better when you don't. So try Pomodoro technique. And then number three, try focus and diffuse, right? So I'm trying to learn something new, and I focus, and then I sit back and relax. Literally relax, okay? Don't go do something else. Just 10 minutes of not trying to think about anything, and then go back and try to refocus. And then number four was create a study plan, but put in things that you like to do first in your study plan, and then hold yourself accountable to the study plan. So for me, what I did is I love to get up early. Not everybody does. That's okay. It's quiet. No one's awake. Nothing's going on. Cup of coffee. That's just me. And that was my focused study time. And I could get an easy 30 minutes in, and then I could rest, and then I could start my day. But I did it every single day. And I didn't always study things that I liked. I loved studying herbs. That was easy when it was study herbs time. Very easy for me. I did not like studying acupuncture, prescriptionology, points. It wasn't as easy for me, and I procrastinated, and I had to use the Pomodoro technique to help me. So I stopped making my beautiful notes. I stopped doing that because they weren't helping me, and I learned how to study smarter and not harder. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of the 3 or 4 actually techniques that I gave you. And the next video is going to be about sympathetic versus parasympathetic, and which of those states is really better to be in when you're trying to study and learn and make it through a very long, rigorous program. So again, I'm so happy you're here. I hope that you're enjoying the videos, and I will see you on tip 3.